You've been told to try harder, text sooner, prove more. Wrong. The more you overinvest, the less you're valued. The moment you stop caring, really stop. With calm and clarity, scarcity kicks in, respect returns, and attraction grows. In this video, I'll break the myth that effort alone creates attraction and show the real drivers: scarcity, self-respect, and emotional control. You'll learn the habits that make you unbothered and hard to replace, how to hold your frame without games, how calm distance flips the script, and how to let your life, not your messages, do the talking. If you're ready to trade approval for power, hit like, subscribe, and drop detachment is my power in the comments. Let's get into it. Number 1. The mystery of absence. The mystery of absence. When you stop caring, your absence becomes something she can't explain. Before, she knew exactly where to find you. Her texts were answered instantly. Her posts got your reactions. Her mood swings pulled you into long conversations. But now the pattern is broken. Your quiet creates a mystery, and mystery is powerful because the mind hates an empty space. She starts to fill that gap with questions. Why isn't he reaching out? Has he found someone else? Is he actually over me? That unknown is far more haunting than any argument. Here's what this looks like in real life. Last month, you would have replied in minutes and checked her story the second it went up. Today, your phone stays face down while you finish your workout, meet a friend for coffee, and get lost in your own plans. She posts something she knows you'd normally react to, and nothing. Hours pass. She sends a light, "Hey, you," to test the waters. You don't rush. When you finally respond, you're warm but brief. No over-explaining, no chasing, no edge in your tone. You're simply living your life again. That small shift feels huge on her end, because what used to be guaranteed is now uncertain, and people miss what they can no longer predict. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In other words, don't panic about how you look. Maybe she decides you're cold, detached, or different now. Let her. A Stoic doesn't hand his peace to someone else's opinion. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that we control our mind, not outside events. Your calm distance isn't a trick. It's a choice to value what is yours, to command your time, your attention, your standards. When you stop performing for approval, you stop feeding her certainty. And without certainty, the imagination starts working overtime. What happens next is subtle but real. She replays old moments with you and edits them with new meaning. The inside, jokes, the late-night talks, the way you used to show up. Scarcity creates focus. When attention becomes rare, it becomes precious. She doesn't miss you because you're trying to make her miss you. She misses you because your energy is no longer free on tap. That's the difference between manipulation and mastery. You aren't withholding to punish. You're redirecting to grow. The result is the same for her. A quiet ache she can't shake. A curiosity she can't satisfy. A pull she didn't feel when you were always available. If you're watching this and wondering whether pulling back is mean, hear me clearly. It's not cruelty, it's clarity. You're not slamming doors, you're closing loops. You're letting actions, not arguments, do the talking. By choosing your purpose over constant reassurance, you become harder to access and easier to remember. That contrast is what makes her feel your absence more deeply than your presence ever did when you were overinvested. So keep it simple. Take your mornings back. Answer when you're free, not when you're frightened. Don't post to prove, live to improve. The moment you stop caring in the needy way, you start caring in the right way for your focus, your health, your mission. And that's exactly when she begins to miss you more. Not because you disappeared, but because you finally appeared to yourself. Number 2. Freedom is magnetic. Freedom is magnetic. The man who no longer cares is the man who radiates freedom. Think about it. When you're constantly checking your phone, adjusting your plans, or worrying about how she feels, you're tied down by invisible chains. That's not freedom, it's dependence. But the moment you stop caring, whether she texts back, whether she notices you, whether she stays or goes, you're free. And freedom is magnetic because it shows her something rare. A man who doesn't need her validation to breathe. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." And bravery in relationships means daring to let go of what you cannot control. Instead of clinging, you invest in yourself, your work, your discipline, your goals. Suddenly, your life doesn't orbit around her anymore. It has its own gravity, and she feels it. She feels the shift when you're no longer waiting on her approval, when your time is no longer guaranteed. That independence draws her in because freedom always carries an allure. The man who can walk away without bitterness is the man she secretly fears losing most. Let me paint it clearly. For months, you replied. The second her name lit up your screen, you skipped the gym to keep the conversation alive. You reshuffled your weekend just in case she might be free. Then, one day, you stop feeding that pattern. You answer when you're available, not when anxiety demands it. You prioritize your training, your craft, your sleep. You're not rude, you're grounded. You don't post to get a reaction. You live to build momentum. And what happens? The silence that used to suffocate you begins to work for you. She notices that your attention is no longer a bottomless well. Scarcity makes value obvious. The more you center your life around purpose, the more she has to move toward you if she wants to feel your presence again. This is why she will miss you more when you stop caring. It's not spite, it's physics. When you detach from what isn't yours to control, your energy stops leaking. You become steady, unbothered, and strangely luminous. Epictetus would call it returning to what's up to you. Your choices, your standards, your focus. Marcus Aurelius would remind you that you have power over your mind, not over her moods. And when you actually live that, your calm becomes a mirror. She sees the difference between a man who begs for proximity and a man who chooses his path. Talk to me here. This isn't about playing games, it's about self-respect. A Stoic man doesn't weaponize silence. He simply refuses to trade his peace for attention. He can enjoy love without needing it to breathe. He can care without clinging. So if you're watching this and wondering how to shift the dynamic, start where control actually lives. Your habits, your time, your mission. Keep your heart open, your boundaries firm, and your phone face down when you're building yourself. Paradoxically, that's when she'll feel your absence the most. Not because you're punishing her, but because you finally belong to your purpose. And purpose, more than any text or chase, is what makes your presence unforgettable. Before we move on, take a breath and check in with yourself. Does this truth about freedom over approval resonate? If it does, tap like to support the message. Drop a comment sharing what part hit you most, or keep it simple, and type freedom over approval. Now let's carry that mindset into the next part and break down how this shift in you quietly flips the entire dynamic in your favor. Number 3. Unpredictability shakes her. Human beings crave patterns. When unpredictability shakes her, she knows your reactions. When she can predict that you'll text back in minutes, argue when she pulls away, or try to fix things whenever she's upset, she feels safe. not because of love, but because of control. But the moment you stop caring, that predictability vanishes. Suddenly she doesn't know what's coming next. Will you call? Will you stay silent? Will you move on completely? That uncertainty is unsettling, and it shakes her in ways that words never could. When you stop trying to manage her feelings, you stop feeding the pattern she relied on. You're not cold, you're clear. You've decided your peace isn't up for negotiation. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That's the switch. You're no longer negotiating with the weather, you're steering the ship. To her, that looks unpredictable. To you, it's simply self-control. Picture this with me. She posts a story that used to pull a quick reaction from you. This time, nothing. You're at the gym, finishing your last set. Later, she sends a "we need to talk" text that once would have dragged you into a late-night debate. You answer when you're free, and you keep it short, honest, and calm. No chasing, no defending, no trying to fix what isn't yours to fix. She refreshes her messages, wondering why the usual push and pull isn't working. That space you create is exactly what makes her feel your absence and miss the attention she took for granted. A Stoic man doesn't become unpredictable by playing games. He becomes unpredictable because he refuses to be ruled by impulse. Epictetus taught that freedom begins where our need to control others ends, when you stop caring about outcomes you can't command. You stop reacting to every test, every mood swing, every baited hook. She can't map your moves anymore. Because your moves aren't about her, they're about your principles. Think of a storm raging against a mountain. The storm expects trees to break, rivers to overflow, chaos to follow. But the mountain stands still, unmoved. That calm, steady presence is what makes the storm lose its power. In the same way, your indifference, born from inner discipline, empties her control of force. That's when she begins to miss you most. Not because you vanished, but because you became someone she can't predict, can't provoke, and can't own. And that mystery, paired with your quiet strength, is more magnetic than any argument you could ever make. The scarcity effect. Number 4. The scarcity effect. Scarcity changes everything. When water is abundant, we waste it. But in the desert, a single drop becomes priceless. The same principle applies to your attention. When you cared too much, your time and energy were always available. She could take them for granted because she knew they were endless. But when you stop caring, your presence becomes scarce, and what is scarce always becomes valuable. Seneca once wrote, "We are always complaining that our days are few, and acting as though there will be no end of them." Apply this to relationships. When your attention seems infinite, it loses its worth. But when you withdraw, when you stop chasing, when your time is clearly prioritized for yourself, suddenly she sees what she lost. That scarcity gnaws at her because it flips the dynamic. Your attention is no longer the easy comfort she once enjoyed. Imagine you were the guy who replied in minutes, who reshuffled plans to see her, who jumped to solve every mood. Then you stopped caring. Not with anger, just with calm standards. You go to the gym when you said you would. You finish your work without peeking at your phone. You sleep instead of arguing at midnight. She posts something to see if you'll bite, and you don't. She sends a "you okay" at 11:43 p.m., and you answer the next day at noon with a steady, simple reply. No chasing, no long explanations, no emotional essays. Now she's the one refreshing the screen. The same attention she once skimmed past has become rare, and because it's rare, it suddenly feels precious. That's why she will miss you more when you stop caring. Your absence. reveals the weight your presence always had. From a Stoic lens, this isn't a tactic, it's discipline. Marcus Aurelius said that you control your mind, not outside events. You cannot control whether she appreciates you, but you can control how you use your time, what you respond to, and what you ignore. Epictetus would tell you to place value on what's up to you, your choices, your effort, your schedule. When you act from reason instead of impulse, you stop feeding the machine that runs on your instant reactions. Your calendar becomes a quiet boundary. Your silence becomes a message. My life matters even when you're not texting me. Look around at modern life. Everyone is available all the time. Scarcity has almost disappeared. That's why genuine restraint stands out. When you don't play the always-on game, when your energy is rationed and your time is given carefully, your value skyrockets. She starts to revisit memories she once skimmed over. She remembers your steadiness, your focus, your humor, your calm presence in a storm. And here's the key. You didn't get there by trying to make her feel anything. You got there by choosing what matters and letting go of what doesn't. As Stoicism teaches, meaning comes from disciplined action, not emotional noise. The more disciplined you are with your energy, the more powerful its effect when you finally choose to give it. Number 5. Her ego feels the vacuum. Her ego feels the vacuum. Before, your attention was fuel for her ego. Every compliment, every chase, every quick reply told her she still had influence over you. But when you stop caring, the ego notices first. It's not just that she misses you, it's that she feels a void where her validation once came from. That emptiness is louder than any words you could say. Here's what that looks like in real life. She posts a story expecting your reaction like always, and it doesn't come. She sends a lukewarm text at midnight to test the line. You don't bite. She brings up an old inside joke. You smile and keep it short. None of that is anger. It's simply a man choosing peace over performance. At first she'll tell herself, you're busy. Then she'll wonder if you're losing interest. And finally, the truth lands. The power she felt from your constant availability isn't there anymore. That's when missing you turns sharp. Because it's not only about you, it's about what your attention did for her image of herself. A Stoic man understands this dynamic without bitterness. He stops feeding another person's ego at the expense of his own dignity. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, we all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own. When you stop caring, you reverse that mistake. You center your opinion of you. You invest your energy where it actually grows you, your work, your discipline, your health, your purpose. She can feel that shift. It's not drama, it's gravity. And gravity is hard to ignore. This is why indifference cuts deeper than rejection. Rejection is still engagement. It offers her a stage to argue, explain, or win you back. Indifference removes the stage entirely. Silence becomes a mirror without your reassurance. She starts to ask the questions she avoided when you were always there. Was I taking him for granted? Why does his calm feel stronger than my pride? What if he really doesn't need me? That's the vacuum talking, and it's exactly why she will miss you more when you stop caring, because now she's confronting the difference between being wanted and being prioritized. None of this is about playing games. Epictetus would say to concern yourself with what's in your control, your thoughts, your actions, your standards. You don't punish, you don't lecture, you don't perform. You simply stop financing her ego with your attention and start financing your future with your focus. Paradoxically, that quiet return to yourself is what makes your presence feel rare again. Scarcity creates value, and Your attention, once a tap left running, becomes a limited resource with meaning. That's when she feels the ache. Not because you tried to make her jealous, but because you finally chose to respect your time. It's the moment you stop renting out your peace of mind to someone else's ego and start investing it back into yourself. That kind of shift is worth pausing on. So before we move into the next part, reflect on this. Have you ever noticed how your calm presence speaks louder than your words? I'd love to hear your take. Drop a comment below sharing your thoughts, or simply type "calm is stronger than chaos." It's not just a phrase, it's a reminder of the strength that comes when you choose yourself first. Now let's continue. Number 6. Calm hurts more than anger. Calm hurts more than anger. Anger is still a form of care. When you raise your voice, when you argue, when you react, you're proving that she still has the ability to move you. But calm, detachment, that's different. When you stop caring, you don't explode, you don't defend, you don't plead, you remain steady. And that calm cuts deeper than any outburst ever could. Epictetus taught, any person capable of angering you becomes your master. He can anger you only when you permit yourself to be disturbed by him. By staying calm, you refuse to hand over your power. You show her that she's no longer your master. Her words don't dictate your mood. Her silence doesn't dictate your peace. And that is disarming. A stoic man returns to what he can control. His breath, his choices, his standards. He doesn't punish or perform. He simply stops, feeding what doesn't honor him. Picture. She sends a sharp text at midnight, something designed to hook you. Maybe we're just not a fit. I don't know. The old you would type paragraphs, defend yourself, beg for clarity, and then check your phone every 2 minutes. The calm you doesn't bite. You see it in the morning, go to the gym, handle your work, and reply hours later with a short, respectful line. I hear you. I'm focusing on my week. Take care. No sarcasm, no debate, no chase. You didn't punish her. You prioritized yourself. And that's the moment the dynamic shifts. She expected friction. She got stillness. She expected you to fight for access. You protected your peace. That quiet boundary says more than any speech. This is why she will miss you more when you stop caring. It's not the silence alone. It's what the silence proves. It proves you're not trying to win her anymore. You're winning yourself. It proves your attention is no longer automatic. It has a price. Respect, effort, reciprocity. When that becomes clear, absence starts working on her. She doesn't just miss your messages, she misses the feeling of being able to move you. She misses the mirror you used to hold up to her ego. Now she has to sit with her own thoughts. And the contrast between your calm and her restlessness grows louder by the day. Marcus Aurelius reminded us to be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. It stands unmoved, and the raging of the sea falls still around it. That's the energy you bring when you stop caring. You're not cold, you're composed. You don't argue, you align with your values. You don't chase, you choose. And in that steadiness, you become scarce, unpredictable, and strangely magnetic. She begins to wonder where you are, what you're doing, who you're becoming without her. She doesn't miss the arguments, she misses the access. She doesn't miss the drama, she misses your grounded presence that she can no longer command. Talk to yourself here the way a Stoic would. What is mine to govern your tone, your time, your direction? Pour your energy back into your health, your craft, your people, your purpose. When you do, your life gains its own gravity, and she feels it. That's why calm hurts more than anger. Anger says, you still matter to me more than my peace. Calm says, my peace matters to me more than your reaction. And that's the mum. And she starts to miss you for real, not because of what you said, but because you finally stopped needing her to say anything at all. The contrast of energy. Number 7. The contrast of energy. When you cared too much, all your energy flowed outward. You invested in her moods, her games, her attention. But when you stop caring, you redirect that energy inward into your work, your health, your discipline, your growth, and she feels that contrast. She sees that the hours once given to her are now invested into something greater than her validation. That shift is magnetic because deep down she respects what she no longer controls. Stoicism thrives on this very principle. Channeling energy into what is within your control, not wasting it on what isn't. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. When you invest in your own mind, body and purpose, you build strength that radiates naturally, and ironically, the stronger you grow without her, the more she feels your absence. It's not that you punish her, it's that you elevate yourself, and that contrast forces her to see what she lost. A man who doesn't collapse into her shadow, but builds his own light. Imagine a normal week, before you were available on demand. If her tone shifted, your day shifted with it. If she pulled back, you chased. Now you get up early, train, eat clean, sit down to deep work, and put your phone away. You post nothing dramatic, maybe a quiet shot of a finished project, a book on your desk, a run logged at sunrise. You're not proving anything, you're simply living. She notices the change in rhythm. The instant replies are gone. The emotional tug-of-war has no opponent, and the attention that once felt like a guarantee has become rare. Scarcity creates value, and your presence becomes scarce by choice, not by pettiness. A Stoic man doesn't make speeches about this shift. He embodies it. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." When you stop caring, you stop negotiating with every mood and start honoring your standards. That steadiness unsettles her in a way arguments never did. Arguments told her you were still hooked. Calm focus says you're free, and freedom is attractive because it signals you're led by purpose, not pulled by approval. This is why she will miss you more when you stop caring. She doesn't just miss the texts. She misses the energy that once orbited her. She misses the certainty that your day could be redirected with a single message. She misses the quiet pride she felt knowing you would bend. But you're no longer bending, you're building. And when a man builds, he steps into a gravity of his own. She feels that pull even from a distance. Your calm routine, your improved health, your focused work, all of it creates a contrast she can't ignore. You moved from seeking attention to creating momentum, and in that gap between who you were and who you're becoming, she realizes the truth. She's not missing the old you who cared too much. She's missing the man who learned to care correctly about his time, his mission, his peace. Number 8. The silent mirror. The silent mirror, indifference, is a mirror. When you no longer care, she's left to face her own reflection without the comfort of your attention to distract her. Your silence forces her to sit with her own thoughts. Suddenly, she's no longer measuring herself against your praise or reassurance. She's left with the raw truth of her own emptiness, and that's what she begins to miss. Not just you, but the version of herself that felt alive in your presence. Let me talk to you directly. When you stop over-explaining, over-exting, and over-proving, you give her something she hasn't felt in a long time. Space. In that space, the noise quiets down and the mirror gets loud. She hears the replay of the last argument, the casual dismissals, the tests she threw at you because she assumed you'd chase. Now there's no chase. Just your calm, steady absence. That absence isn't aggression, it's clarity. She starts to measure the gap between the man you were when you cared too much and the man you are now that you've chosen your peace. And that contrast is where missing you begins to grow. The Stoics understood this. Epictetus taught that our power lies in what we control, our choices, our focus, our responses. You're not withdrawing to punish, you're withdrawing to protect your mind. Marcus Aurelius would call it returning to the citadel within. When you do that, your energy shifts from trying to fix someone else's emotions to building your own life. And here's the paradox. The more you invest in what's truly yours, your purpose, your discipline, your routines, the more she feels the loss of the influence she once had. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Your silence activates her imagination. She wonders where you are, who you're with, and why her words no longer move you. The mirror fills with questions she has to answer for herself." Here's a simple example. You used to reply in minutes, cancel the gym to take her call, and jump to smooth things over. Now you keep your plan, you train, you read, you handle your business, and you get back when you can. Calm, brief, respectful. No attitude, no hidden jabs. You post nothing dramatic, maybe just a photo of your work in progress or a quiet dinner with friends. She notices the difference. She sends a light check-in. You respond hours later, not cold, just centered. That tiny shift tells a bigger story. You're no longer orbiting her. The mirror starts reflecting her own behavior back at her. Was I fair? Did I take him for granted? Did I push too far? Missing you becomes inevitable because your life is moving and she isn't the axis anymore. A Stoic man doesn't slam doors. He simply stops standing in doorways that lead nowhere. You keep your standards without speeches. You offer kindness without availability on demand. You let your actions do the teaching your words never could. And as you return your energy to what's within your control, she's left with the mirror you no longer hold up for her. That quiet accountability is what makes her miss you more. The memory of how grounded she felt around you, and the realization that your steadiness now belongs to you, not to her moods. Take 10 seconds with the mirror. What did it show you? Where have you over-explained, over-given, or traded your peace for a moment of approval? If this hits home, share one shift you're making in the comments so another man can learn from it. Or keep it simple and anchor the mindset by typing peace over approval. That single line is your reminder to choose standards over chasing. Ready? Let's carry this clarity into the next part. Number 9. Respect rewrites the story. Respect rewrites the story. When you cared too much, you handed out respect without conditions. You treated her time, attention, and approval as the prize, but when you stop caring, the roles reverse. Now, respect isn't something you give away cheaply. It's something she has to earn, and that changes everything. Suddenly she realizes she doesn't have unlimited access anymore. And that realization is exactly why she will miss you more when you stop caring. Epictetus once said, "If you want to be respected by others, the great thing is to respect yourself." When you pull your energy back, you're not being cold. You're honoring your standards. You show that your respect isn't a coupon she can redeem whenever she wants. It's a currency backed by your values. That shift unsettles her because it rewrites the dynamic. She can't demand it, manipulate it, or assume it. And in that space, she starts to feel the absence of the easy comfort she once enjoyed. Maybe you used to reply within minutes, even when her messages were half-hearted. You'd cancel the gym to take her call. You'd stay up late to soothe drama that didn't belong to you. Now you finish your workout, return the call when you're free, and keep your tone warm but brief. You're no longer auditioning. You've got a life, projects moving, body improving, mind steady. At first, she tells herself you're being distant. Then she notices you're simply consistent with yourself. That's when missing you begins. Not because you're playing good games, but because your calm priorities reveal a truth she can't ignore. You were always valuable. You just forgot to act like it. Here's the quiet twist. Your indifference isn't hostility, it's self-respect. It tells her the man she overlooked was never desperate. He was momentarily distracted from his worth. Now that you've reclaimed it, the story truly changes. She's no longer the center, your purpose island. And as your life gathers gravity, she feels exactly what she once made you feel. Uncertainty, curiosity, and a growing desire to be chosen, this time on your terms. That's why she will miss you more when you stop caring. Number 10. Indifference is power. Indifference is power. True power is not in shouting, controlling, or proving. It's in what you refuse to give. Indifference is power because it strips away her ability to influence your emotions. The moment you stop caring, you reclaim every ounce of strength that was once handed to her, and that power, quiet and steady, makes her miss you more than anything else. Think about the last time you pulled back, not to punish, but to protect your peace. You didn't argue, you didn't explain, you simply chose your workout, your project, your sleep, your purpose. She posted a story designed to hook you. No reaction. She sent a late-night hey to test the old pattern. You replied the next morning with calm or not at all. She felt the difference immediately. What she misses isn't only your presence, it's the predictable access to your attention. That access was her safety net. When it disappears, uncertainty shows up, and uncertainty is what makes the heart chase. The Stoics lived by this creed. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Power, then, is not dominance over her. It's mastery over yourself. When you master your emotions, when you no longer react to tests, provocations, or silence, you become untouchable. Epictetus warned that whoever can anger you owns you. Your calm breaks that ownership. You stop being the man she can summon with a mood, and you become the man who moves on principle. Untouchable men are rare, and rarity is magnetic. Here's the simple truth I want you to sit with. Indifference isn't cruelty, it's clarity. You're not playing games, you're ending them. You're choosing what is within your control, your standards, your time, your focus. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." That's exactly what happens to her when you stop caring. Your silence becomes a mirror. She fills it with questions, replayed moments, what-ifs. The story she writes in her mind is louder than any speech you could give, and this is why she will miss you more. Not because you withdrew love, but because you withdrew permission for your peace to be negotiated. Your respect is no longer for sale. Your attention is no longer an open tap. Your presence is earned, not assumed. In that shift, she discovers what you discovered first. A man who doesn't need to be chosen is the man most often remembered. When you live like that, calm, grounded, unbothered. Your absence speaks with authority. She doesn't miss the man who begged. She misses the man who finally remembered his worth. Number 11. She misses what she took for granted. She misses what she took for granted. Human nature always underestimates what feels constant. When you cared too much, she believed you'd always be there. But when you stop caring, she experiences loss. And nothing sharpens appreciation like losing what was once taken for granted. It's only when your attention disappears that she finally feels its weight. Stoicism has a name for this: premeditatio malorum, the practice of imagining loss. So you value what you have. You did that work without knowing it. She didn't. She assumed your replies, your patience, your presence were permanent. Your calm indifference becomes the lesson she never chose to learn. Think about what happens in real life. For months she'd text you at midnight and you'd answer in minutes. She'd cancel plans and you'd rework your week to fit her back in. Then one day you stop caring, not with anger, just with clarity. You take your phone off the pedestal, you go to the gym, you focus on work, you sleep on time. When she finally sends you up, your response arrives the next afternoon, short and respectful, because you were busy living. That tiny shift, no drama, no speech, hits harder than any argument. She scrolls through old threads and sees the contrast. Your attention used to orbit her. Now it has its own gravity. A Stoic doesn't withdraw to punish. He withdraws to protect his peace and to stay within the circle of what he can control. Marcus Aurelius put it simply: you rule your mind, not other people. When you live that, your vibe changes. You stop reassuring, stop explaining, stop chasing approval. You become steady, and steadiness is rare. She starts wondering where your warmth went, why your time feels expensive, why your life suddenly looks fuller. She doesn't just miss you, she misses the certainty, the easy access, the quiet power she once mistook for weakness. Your absence turns into a mirror. It shows her the effort you carried, the softness you offered, the stability you provided. It makes your once ordinary attention feel scarce. And what is scarce becomes valuable. Regret grows in that gap. Not because you're playing games, but because you finally chose yourself. And as you keep choosing yourself, your purpose, your standards, your peace, she realizes the man she overlooked was the man she needed most. Number 12, the man who chooses himself. The man who chooses himself. At the core of it all, she misses you most when you choose yourself. Not in arrogance, not in cruelty, but in quiet dignity. By stopping caring, you show her that your peace, your growth, your purpose come first. And that's what sets you apart from the crowd of men still begging for approval. A Stoic man lives by inner standards, not outer validation. He doesn't bend for applause or crumble under silence. He stands firm in who he island. Seneca said, "He is most powerful who has power over himself." That's the essence of this entire truth. When you stop caring, you prove that you have power over yourself, and that power makes you unforgettable. She may never admit it aloud, but deep down she knows she can't replace a man like that because you were never fully hers. You were always your own, and in choosing yourself, you teach the ultimate lesson. The man who doesn't need her is the man she will always miss the most. Let's say you used to reply in seconds, rearrange your schedule, explain yourself every time she pulled away. One day you stop chasing the mood, swings, and start chasing your standards. You hit the gym after work instead of refreshing your messages. You read at night instead of arguing in circles. You double down on your craft, your business, your discipline. You're not punishing her, you're prioritizing you. Marcus Aurelius would call this returning to what's within your control, your mind, your actions, your time. And that shift doesn't make you colder, it makes you clearer. What happens next is subtle at first. She notices your calm, then your absence, then the new gravity around you. You don't rush to fix things that aren't yours to fix. You don't audition for affection. You don't explain your worth. You embody it. That unpredictability born not from games, but from genuine focus, shakes her certainty. She starts to wonder where you went, why her usual buttons don't work, and how she misread your strength. The silence that once felt like power to her now becomes a mirror. In it, she sees the difference between a man who needs validation and a man who has values. And that's why she misses you more. Not because you vanished, but because you emerged. You became a man led by purpose instead of permission. You chose yourself, your boundaries, your pace, your peace. A Stoic doesn't run from attachment. He refuses to be owned by it. When you live that way, your presence becomes rare, and what is rare, my friend, is always remembered. As we, conclusion, wrap up, remember the shift we've drawn all the way through. When you stop caring in the needy way and start caring in the disciplined way, your presence stops being common and starts being costly. Your quiet becomes a mirror. Your time grows scarce. Your standards speak for you. You're not playing hard to get. You're hard to replace. Freedom replaces approval. Calm replaces reactivity. And the life you're building begins to do the talking. That is why she feels the absence, and why your value rises. Not because you vanished, but because you finally showed up for yourself. Carry this into your week. Keep your mornings, keep your training, keep your phone face down while you move your mission forward. Reply when you're free. Speak with respect and let your boundaries be the proof. No speeches, no games, just a man who governs what's his to govern. The more consistently you live that way, the more your peace turns into gravity. If this gave you clarity, hit like. Tell me your biggest takeaway in the comments, and when you're ready for the next step, watch the recommended videos on screen now.